Tuesday, September 20th, 2011. This is Infowars Nightly News. I'm your host, Alex Jones. Coming up later in this important transmission, we're going to be talking to economist, researcher, investor, the head of Euro-Pacific Capital, who just testified before Congress, Peter Schiff. Then we've got breaking news from Kurt Haskell, one of the survivors of the Christmas Day underwear bombing. He's a lawyer, and he's been attending the pre-trial activities for Muttalib, the underwear bomber, in Detroit. He's got breaking news that the national media is ignoring. An important broadcast note: I had told radio listeners and Infowars.com readers today that we were going to have our Gardasil special report tonight, one of many more we're going to be doing. But I've decided to go ahead and do that tomorrow night because Dr. Andrew Wakefield, himself a victim of the big pharma hoax machine, will be joining us in studio tomorrow. And this is such an important subject. I want to cover the full spectrum of information. But here's the bottom line. Merck is invading the planet. They are everywhere, buying off politicians and pushing their dangerous cancer virus vaccine that's been proven, according to the CDC, with only 2% of adverse reactions being reported, that 18,000 plus people have had adverse reactions, autoimmune diseases, convulsions, narcolepsy, and even death. And the establishment has really miscalculated. They panicked in the last week when this became one of the biggest national news stories, when Michelle Bachmann and others exposed what Rick Perry was up to, along with Ron Paul. And now a bioethicist with connections to Merck has offered $10,000 reward for proof. A $10,000 reward for proof that anybody's ever been hurt by Gardasil. This is ridiculous. We showed you last night, and we're going to show you tomorrow night, even more documents that the government is aware of this and what's happening. So that's coming up tomorrow evening. Continuing, though, here's the big alert. It's on the governor's desk right now. We need to just start numbering these. Say go to 1, go to 2, go to 3. Now, here's the really big news. Merck tried to get Perry to run the hoax that it was the law to take Gardasil here in Texas. And then, of course, it came out that it wasn't a law and it was all a giant hoax. So now they've actually gone to the California legislature and gotten them to pass legislation that's on the governor's desk now, awaiting signing, that makes it the law that the school can brainwash the kids, very young children, and get their consent without the parents knowing. This is just like kids can get abortions without their parents knowing, but you got to get a letter to let them go to the zoo. This is crazy. Well, now they're going to shoot your kids up with vaccines and not even ever let you know that it happened. And I've got clips of vaccine representatives and others on the news we're going to play tomorrow saying it's reasonable to shoot your kids up and not even let you know that they did it. This is absolutely amazing and is incredible tyranny. We're going to be breaking this all down. And then finally, did you know Rupert Murdoch's heavily invested in the flu shots and the H1N1 and all of the deaths and problems that that caused? Did you know a lot of other big mega media moguls are involved as well? This is a $50 billion a year industry. And it's time that we expose what these merchants of death are doing. Their vaccines don't work, and they've been linked to killing people and maiming others. It's all coming up tomorrow night. Now, we've got 2 in-depth interviews with, again, Peter Schiff and, of course, Kurt Haskell coming up. So I only have one other area of news I want to focus on tonight in the news and analysis segment, and that's Obama on the chopping block. You know, when we put out the Obama deception back in, March of 2009, a lot of people were shocked by it, and it's since been watched by more than 35 million people online. And they said, you mean he's going to be politically built up and then destroyed? That this is all basically staged? Alex, that's never going to happen. Well, let's go ahead and play this clip. That's a few snippets from my film, The Obama Deception, that we released just a few months after Obama was in office, predicting that he would later be politically destroyed.
Presidents are now little more than corporate pitchmen who take all the political heat, while the controllers remain in the shadows, safe from public scrutiny. In the real executive power structure, the president serves the military-industrial complex. It's self-owned by the international bankers. If there's a revolution, the population just throws out the prime minister or president. The elite stays in power because the public is never aware of who the real enemy is. Upon Obama's inauguration, members of the Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, and CFR flooded into every position of power in the executive branch, replacing Trilateral Commission and CFR members who previously filled the positions during the Bush administration.
And we get more into it in the film and also the sequel, Fall of the Republic, that was released just 4 or 5 months after the Obama deception, and the films are evergreen. You see, I have an analogy that I've used. It's been picked up by the national media, and it's basically that a president is like a shield for the New World Order when they're a puppet. And the establishment picks up the shield, whether it's Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Obama, and it gets attacked, it gets bashed in. And when they're done, they throw it down and pick up a new shield. And that's exactly what's happening. And the bigger they get built up, the harder they fall. They have built Obama up like he is the absolute savior of the earth. And in that way, when the depression sets in and the banksters consolidate our economy as well as the euro, which is now happening, they can simply bring in another Rick Perry or Mitt Romney or other puppet, or even another Democratic challenger for the nomination for the Democratic presidency candidacy, and fool folks a little bit longer instead of looking past the puppets to the actual people that hold the strings. And here it is in the news today, just a small smattering. Remember, this is teleprompter-free news, ladies and gentlemen. This is my analysis, my information. So occasionally I'll kind of falter or stutter. Sometimes the show's 30 minutes, sometimes it's 2 hours long, because it's real. This is real information, not somebody reading off a teleprompter. Why are teleprompters important? The system can load its propaganda in at 1,000 points and have a unified message. This is true alternative media. Continuing, here's the Chicago Tribune. Why Obama should withdraw. Continuing, Washington Times. Liberals vow to challenge Obama in Democratic primary. So you're seeing these headlines everywhere as they're flushing Obama. Now Obama faces questions on his investments. USA Today. This was always known about the corruption and the Chicago chicanery. Again, I'm not defending Obama. He's just a mid-level frontman that reads off teleprompters. It's now coming out, you know, the head of the Black Caucus says if Obama wasn't president, we would have marched on the White House a long time ago. Obama administration reworked the big solar company loan to favor donor, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Notice these are all in his strongholds. Democratic Party establishment turning on him. And it's because they're getting ready to throw him overboard to try to get a new puppet in. The system needs a new shield. Before, a shill would last 4 to 8 years for the establishment. Now they last a matter of months. He had one of the lowest approval ratings in presidential history just 6 months after being in office from one of the highest. In fact, there's one over there on the screen. Obama hits new low in another poll, 39%. Again, as they prepare to fully bring down this economy, as they prepare to offer you their new puppets as the solution, they have to first destroy the old puppet. And we're at a very dangerous point right now with Puppet Obama, because if some of the insiders that are in his camp decide to try to keep him in power, they're going to stage terror attacks and say that his enemies did it. Or they could even stage an assassination. I've always said that Obama could be the next big inside job. We want nothing to happen to this puppet. We want nothing to happen to George W. Bush. They're rancid little nobody puppets for the elite. We want to go after the actual people that are using them as shields. We want to go after them with the Constitution, with the Bill of Rights, because they are the people that are steering our economy over the edge of a cliff. And that's why I and many others like Gerald Celente, Ron Paul, have been able to predict it. And with more on the president's job plan and the Fed's move into QE3 is Peter Schiff, CEO of Euro Pacific Capital, fresh off his testimony to Congress last week on why the president's last 3 jobs plans, or is it 4, have failed. Now, the reason I like to have Peter Schiff on with us is he got ridiculed, as you know, many of you know, all over international television and and major print publications for predicting the collapse of 2008, then for saying that all the stimulus and banker bailout wouldn't work. And now, more and more, they're finally listening to him, kind of like they're starting to listen to Congressman Ron Paul. Peter Schiff, of course, also has been one of the monetary advisors on economics for Congressman Ron Paul, and he joins us now. Peter, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Alex. And I wish they were listening to me. I mean, maybe they're hearing me now, but I'm not sure they're actually listening to what I'm saying. They might be tuning it out.
Let's get into the testimony to Congress last week and basically what they asked you and how you responded.
Well, I mean, the whole idea, they wanted to have a hearing to try to figure out how to create jobs. And of course, that's what they like to do in Washington, is convene hearings. But the reality is they don't need a hearing to figure out why there's no jobs. All they need is a mirror. And so I was there to try to, let Congress know that they're the reason there's no jobs. If they want to wonder why the jobs are disappearing, it's because of actions that government is taking that drives up the cost of employment, that punishes people for employing people, and that makes people look for all sorts of ways to avoid hiring, whether it's using automation or outsourcing or just simply, just not growing a business. And so the only thing that government can really do to create jobs is to stop destroying them and destroying the incentives for the private sector to create the jobs.
I see varying reports from Spain, Portugal, where they've tried the failed green jobs, and now we know about the $500 million stolen, at least from by one of the Obama green energy job companies. But I was seeing numbers of tens of millions of dollars that it costs for every $50,000 job. I mean, surely, Peter, they're not this stupid. There's got to be some method to the madness. Isn't this more of a mafia government, and it's just about paying off their cronies?
Don't overestimate their intelligence. I've gotten in trouble overestimating people's intelligence before. But, I mean, either they're stupid or they're just trying to get elected and they don't care, or a combination of the two. But, a lot of what Congress has to understand is we don't want jobs because we want to work. We want jobs because we want all the things that jobs produce. We want goods. We want to consume. We want to have a high standard of living. Jobs are a means. They're not an ends in and of themselves. And, government can create work. They can make sure we all work really hard, but we have nothing to show for it. That's not what we want. We want productivity. And we're not going to get productive jobs from government. We're going to get that from profit-seeking entrepreneurs.
But was Congress receiving this information? I mean, did anything positive happen?
I don't know. Look, I had some good conversations. I got Dennis Kucinich, who I was surprised. I had a nice discussion with him